Heads of governments of Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam have vowed to deepen ties and cooperation and further development in their neighboring provinces. Later, Prime Ministers Hun Sen and Nguyen Dung also called upon President Jumali Sanyasorn at the presidential palace. Prime Minister of Laos, Thongsing Thammavong, Prime Minister of Cambodia, Hun Sen, and Prime Minister Nguyen Dung of Vietnam made the commitment at the final day of the 8th CLV Summit on the Development Triangle area in Vientiane on Tuesday, the 25th of November.
ข้าพเจ้าขอถือโอกาสนี้แจ้งผลของกองประชุมให้พี่น้องทราบดังนี้ 1. บรรดาผู้นำจากกัมพูชีลาวเวียดนามยังยึดมั่นและสืบต่อยกสูงบทบาทการร่วมมือของสามชาติพวกเราบนพื้นฐานสายพัวพันเพื่อนมิตร
Prime Minister Thongsing addressed the press conference shortly after the summit where he stated that, as leaders of the CLV countries, we have reaffirmed our strong commitment to continue enhancing the framework of cooperation between the three countries on the basis of long-lasting traditional fraternal relations aimed at improving the overall well-being of our multi-ethnic people and further developing the Development Triangle area so as to bring about greater prosperity to our peoples. At today's summit, the leaders of the three countries agreed to continue implementation of existing bilateral and multilateral agreements to facilitate the movement of goods and people in the DTA. The leaders expressed satisfaction with the progress made in preparations to implement the single-window inspection regime along the East-West Economic Corridor at the Dan Savan of Laos and Lao Bao of Vietnam border checkpoint, which will begin on January 7, 2015. The leaders expressed hope that this system would be a good model for future inspection activities at other international border checkpoints located in the DTA. The summit also welcomed future visits by delegations to the Dan Savan Lao Bao border checkpoint to share experiences and draw lessons from the implementation of the single-window inspection scheme. The three prime ministers also signed a joint declaration which forms the basis for implementing activities within the DTA cooperation framework for 2014 to 2016, particularly efforts to combat the spread of pandemic diseases and curb transnational crime, including human trafficking and the drug trade. They also pledged to work together on disaster risk reduction and to address the impacts of unexploded ordnance. To bring greater benefits to the peoples of the three countries, the leaders instructed the CLV Joint Coordination Committee to establish a task force to address outstanding issues. The task force will be responsible for studying the possibility of expanding the scope of cooperation and to come up with constructive recommendations on untapped resources and potential areas for development in the DTA. Speaking via an interpreter in his address at the opening of the summit, Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen spoke about the need to jointly implement necessary policies and create an investment-friendly climate to attract greater investment to create more jobs for local people, while mobilizing funds to implement the revised master plan for socio-economic development of the DTA. The DTA is experiencing annual economic growth of about 10% higher than the respective national rates of the three countries. Speaking through an interpreter at the opening ceremony, Vietnamese Prime Minister Nguyen Dung noted that both private and state investment as well as border trade in the DTA had been more active in recent years. He said the three countries should deepen their cooperation for greater tangible achievements. The three prime ministers expressed their deep gratitude to both the government and people of Japan for their support and assistance for socio-economic development in the DTA in recent years. Prime Minister Thongsing said the 8th summit had made important contributions to further enhancing the friendly relations between the governments and peoples of the three countries for greater solidarity, harmony and mutual support in the common cause of peace, stability and sustainable development cooperation. The leaders also agreed that the 9th CLV summit to be held in the Kingdom of Cambodia in 2016 Later, Prime Ministers Hun Sen and Nguyen also called upon President Jumali Sayason at the Presidential Palace. According to the talk, it will explore opportunities to develop and prioritize CLV projects to meet the objectives of the revised Master Plan for Socio-Economic Development of the DTA. The task force will also organize trade fairs and tourism promotions, push foreign direct investment and organize youth forums in addition to the DTA Development Partners Forum. It will also assign to mobilize financial support from Japan, other development partners and international financial institutions to implement CLV priority projects, including infrastructure development. The summit proposed seeking funds for high priority projects of the CLV DTA from development partners, particularly Japan and international financial institutions, for their further consideration.